hits all the time.
We are family.
Xers are double-digit Ks.
We're busting ours. Kick yours.
Fun to watch.
Minus 15.
Respect all, fear none.
Into the upper deck.
Intensity is not a curfew.
Oh, mercy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We took this on trying to fix it. In order to do that, we're making changes. We're not just doing the same thing with the same people that have been done here before.
In today's competitive game, not even the big boys could compete without a productive talent pipeline.
We'll be listening. There are players, and there have been players, and there will continue to be players that interest other teams that we have under control.
Wow, did he get fooled on that one? That's 6 strikeouts.
They're going to check the market on him as well, as they've done the last few years.
These guys have been there before. They've built success. They know where they're going. There's an idea behind it. You get to watch the results play out in front of you.
The entire baseball world has gathered in San Diego, California for the baseball winter meetings, and welcome into MASN All Access, which is where we will be the Manchester Grand Hyatt for the next week. Paul Mancano, your host, and now joined by Brandon Hyde, Baltimore Orioles manager, of course. Brandon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
How has your off-season been so far?
It's gone quick. It's gone pretty quick. No, but it's been nice to be home and reflect a little bit and take the kids to school and watch all their activities and do things that you don't get a chance to do for the 7-8 months that you're away. So I've enjoyed my time, and now I'm starting to see a bunch of baseball people here, and you start to kind of get the itch to get back and get after it. Yeah,
at this point last year, you were still with the Chicago Cubs as the bench coach, and now it's your first winter meetings as a manager. What is your impressions of winter meetings so far?
Well, I just did a radio interview outside, and it's about 70 degrees in San Diego right now overlooking the water, so it's not too bad here. It's a cool place that you get to see all the connections and all the people that you've worked with and for over the course of I've been in pro ball for 20 years now, so it's a small kind of fraternity that everybody kind of knows each other. So it's nice to get together and talk with the old friends. And you've been in this Orioles organization for almost a full year now. How would you say your working relationship is with Mike Elias, with the front office, with everybody? It's gone really well. Me and Mike talk daily, continuing through the offseason. We communicate a lot, and I really enjoy our front office. I think Sig's fantastic. He's just an incredible person, and they've been wonderful to me. So I thought we had a great year. I thought our relationship is really, it's gone really well, and it's continuing to grow. And I'm looking forward to working with those guys going forward. And that front office made some moves recently, trading away Jonathan VR and Dylan Bundy. What does this team lose in those two? Well, those guys were big parts of our team, and Dylan done a lot of really good things in Baltimore, and tough to see both those guys go. Not only what they did on the field, but what they did in the clubhouse, what they did for me personally, coaching staff. They were just fantastic in every way, and both really good players. And I'm really hoping that they have good years going forward. And of course, Bundy leaving the rotation leaves a spot open. A lot of people have, in their minds, inserted Asher Wojciechowski. Have you done that yet? Do you think he's a lock for this rotation? I think we're so far away still. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces. There's going to be, these next 2-3 months, there's a lot of things can happen. So you kind of start putting the puzzle together a little bit, and you start looking at your roster. But I can't slot anybody in the rotation as of right now, and we'll see what happens. And last year was such an opportunity for the young guys to prove their worth. And especially this year, you get a new influx of young talent, especially with those trades. Does it excite you to see so many young guys pushing the boundaries and trying to get up to the major leagues here? Well, I think Mike's been really transparent about what we're trying to do, and we're trying to just continue to raise the level of talent in our organization. That doesn't mean always that as of at this minute helping the major league club, but it's mainly getting our organization healthier, he went out and traded for a bunch of pitchers. We're hoping they come in here and impact the organization and move through the levels quickly and can impact our big league club. But yeah, we are in a transition mode right now. We're just trying to get as many players as possible in an organization that can help our team down the road, and we're going to continue to do that.
Now, you mentioned at the beginning that you had some time to reflect on your season. Mm-hmm. What did you learn about yourself in your first year as a manager?
Well, I knew I had patience, but I didn't know how much patience. No, it was a great year. The wins and losses obviously were not there, and we knew going in that it was going to be tough, and we knew that it was going to be an uphill battle, and we've both been through this before too. So we kind of know what the end of the rainbow looks like. You take your lumps early, which we did. We played a bunch of players that didn't have a whole lot of major league experience, and a lot of waiver claims, and a couple Rule 5 draft picks, and starters that were in AAA with other clubs, and I feel really good about the way our team played hard for 6 months and competed for 6 months up until the last game of the year. It's tough to be around a club that is struggling for 6 months to be able to win games. It's hard to do, and I just love how our guys stayed with it, stayed together. I thought we had a positive atmosphere the entire time through, so I feel really good about that.
Is there one area specifically that you would like to improve upon next year, whether it's your own managerial style or the team in general?
Well, we like to improve our pitching. You just can't compete in the major leagues if you can't get people out and give up all the home runs we gave up. And so we just have to really improve our pitching organizationally. The positive thing is we had a lot of really some breakthrough years with some guys in our minor league system that we're excited about, and they'll be knocking on the door here at some point soon. So hopefully that translates into the big leagues. So, but yeah, you just can't win in this league without pitching. And
Mike Elias has mentioned the need for a veteran middle infielder as well. Yeah. How important would it be to get a veteran at that spot?
Huge. It's pitching and up the middle defense, and be able to have as many guys that can play in the middle of the field as possible. So losing VR opens up a hole in the middle of our infield. It's something that we're going to address.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Brandon Hyde, Baltimore Orioles manager. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And, of course, it is his first winter meetings as manager, but it is Mike Elias' second as general manager. Take a look back at last year's winter meetings in Las Vegas.
Hey, continue our coverage here at the baseball winter meetings at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Mike Elias, Executive Vice President, General Manager. Sig Mejdal is in there to get an analytics department up and running. What are your thoughts on those two?
I thought it was great. I thought this is exactly what they needed.
And I think that he brings a really good mix of the sort of, we'll use new age, although it's not really new age anymore, sort of the analytics approach. But he also had to go out and scout and do the old-fashioned eye test kind of thing. So, and to me, the teams that do it the best use a hybrid approach. You can't just do one or the other. And I think Mike, because he's had all these different experiences, brings that breadth of knowledge with him to Baltimore, and a lot of youthful energy also.
It's kind of interesting here at the meetings when so much focus for so many teams is on player acquisition, roster moves. And for the Orioles, that's kind of secondary right now because really he's still building his front office. He's still building his top cabinet, if you will, his top lieutenants. As we're going to eventually find out who they are. We know Sig Mejdal, of course, is there with analytics.
It's a wonderful time also to meet some potential hires because, as you mentioned, we're going to be beefing up the analytics group.
And he's hiring a manager. It sounds like they have completed most, if not all, of their interviews, so they're probably pretty well down the road on that.
First and foremost, I think anyone looking for a manager to lead the players needs to have the leadership skills, the experience, the credibility to do so.
A modern manager can't expect to compete without using all the information available, and analytics is a part of the story, and you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back if you're not using it, and we don't want to go to battle with that.
I feel really good about where we are in the process. I feel really good about where I expect things will head. I feel good about our options, but we're still in the process of choosing a manager.
As far as the Rule 5 draft is along, the Orioles do have the #1 pick tomorrow.
I wish we had the #2 and the #3 pick also. So we'll see how it goes. We're still deliberating and looking into it.
Richie Martin is probably among the top players available. First-round pick of the A's in 2015 from Florida. Had a productive season at Double-A.
Well, the Orioles have already made some moves before we got to winter meetings. On November 20th, they added 4 players to the 40-man roster. December 2nd, of course, they traded Jonathan Villar to the Marlins after they placed him on outright waivers. 2 days later, they traded Dylan Bundy to the Angels for 4 players. And then a day after that, they signed second baseman Dilson Herrera, and they have already made a move today as well, signing Marcos Diplan, the minor league right-handed pitcher who has never pitched above Double-A. Now we bring in Rock Kabako of MASNsports.com to break down that signing and everything else that's happening at the Orioles at winter meetings. Rock, let's get your thoughts first on Diplan. Ignore the Kevin Brown pun of we have Diplan.
A Diplan in place, yes.
But
I hadn't Diplaned on this move at all, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's in front of my laptop when it happened. I tell you, when you cover the Orioles, one thing you learn is how to do a Google search really fast. minorleaguebaseball.com, baseballreference.com, because it's names that you're just not familiar with. And it's not like I'm a shut-in. Like, I'm out there, okay? I'm out there, and yet I don't know these people. And that doesn't mean they can't play. It just means we haven't heard of them.
Yeah.
So, Double-A pitcher. They had 3 openings on their 40-man roster. Now they have 2. Still plenty of room for the Rule 5 draft. I think what we're seeing, it's all depth moves. It's what they're doing with the trades. It's what they're doing when they sign these kind of guys, Herrera, and now Diplan, who we had to learn how to pronounce his name, emphasis on the first syllable.
Yep.
Because they're just looking to stock the roster with talent, and it's guys that could help them at some point, maybe during the season, or at least you have to stock your minor league teams. Every team has to do that. It could be guys that later on, if you get enough talent, get packaged in trades, or it's guys we'll never hear from again.
Right.
I mean, he could come off the 40 as easily as he goes on it.
Yeah.
These are the kind of moves you can expect pretty much through the offseason and through spring training.
Exactly. Now, the first 2 moves that they did make, the first 2 trades within the past week, of course, trading Jonathan Villar and then Dylan Bundy, takes away from their current roster. Brandon Hyde now has some more holes to fill, and he's got some more problems to solve on the field. But in terms of the return that they got, considering the fact that they put VR in outright waivers, so he was gone no matter what, and the fact that they got 4 players in return for Bundy, pretty much regardless of the level of player that they got back, it seems like they got pretty good value on both those deals.
They did. And the difference is with VR, clearly, I'm not saying that was just a salary dump, but I mean, they were willing to non-tender him. So basically, it was pretty much the same as dumping the salary. They didn't want to pay the $10 million plus that he was projected to make in his final year before he's going to enter free agency. And they're like, we can lose 100 games with or without him. We could put that money somewhere else. So the fact they got anything back for him was impressive, and I'm not sure what the Marlins are thinking necessarily, because I didn't know they were going to take on salary. They're probably hoping, hey, let's get a good first half of the season from him, and then go ahead and flip him in a trade, which the Orioles are going to try and do too with some guys at a much lower cost. So, and that was that kind of trade, and the return they got there, I think it's just, again, it's lower level depth. Now with Bundy, you got 4 guys, and they've scouted him heavily. They really like him. 2 of them right out of college and didn't even pitch this year professionally. And those are guys they feel like that they can go ahead and kind of push along here. I think MASN, the reliever, is going to be in AAA. We may see him in Baltimore over the summer.
Yeah.
The other guys, lower levels, but they have an upside, and they like them. So that was kind of, and you would expect to obviously get more for Dylan Bundy because he has another year of control after the season. He's not projected to make $10.4 million. So, they were going to hold out for a better return. There was a lot of interest in him. There wasn't so much in, obviously, VR. He cleared waivers. With Bundy, there were multiple teams that were in on him, and they felt like this was the best offer. And for the Angels side, they didn't have to give up a top prospect. I think the highest ranked one was 21st MLB pipeline. So they didn't have to give up one of their big guys, but in return, they had to add a few extra arms. So it wasn't a 1-for-1 or 1-for-2. They had to give up 4 guys altogether to get that quantity aspect.
Exactly. Quantity was a big part of it. But though MASN could prove out to be quality as well, he could make an impact on this team, of course. In terms of other guys that they could potentially move, I think that guy might be safe, Trey Mancini.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
You think at this point, based on what he has said.
Right.
But this guy behind me might not be Michael Givens.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on if they might move Givens, if they might even delve into a Mancini? What other trades do you think could be down the road for the Orioles?
Yeah, I think Givens is more likely to happen. Because I don't know, with Mancini, it's a tough call. I hear fans say, well, look, if you're not going to extend him, and right now they're not talking about doing that at all, then why not move him while his value's higher? It may never be higher than it is right now with the amount of years of control that a team gets and the season he just had.
Yeah.
You know, team MVP, why wouldn't you move him right now? But it's just one of those things where I think they feel like he's so important in that clubhouse, in that lineup, and you have to have somebody like that on the team, some kind of an anchor, even if you're tearing down all around them. So I think they're really hesitant to move him. I think with Givens, it could be more likely to happen. You look at his projected salary. They don't view him as a closer necessarily, but certainly he can be a dominant 7th, 8th inning guy. He's an important guy, and there are a lot of clubs that like him. And in the past, they were basically told he's not available. Well, now they know that for the right price he is. So I think it's more likely that he gets moved. They're going to explore trades, but it's not like they're going to just go ahead and give him away. It's got to be the right offer, and if it is, then they'll certainly move him. But otherwise, you look at the roster, nobody's untouchable. So, I mean, I think it could evolve later on in the process where suddenly there's interest expressed in, let's say, a Hanser Alberto, for example. I think they plan, especially with the lack of middle infield depth right now, to keep him. But if somebody comes along and makes an offer that they love, they'll go ahead and jump. They've got Richard Bleier under contract. But if somebody says, hey, we need a veteran-type lefty with a track record, and make an offer, Richard Bleier can be traded. I mean, there'll be other guys' names are going to come up later. But I think more than anything right now, they're just looking to sign guys, minor league free agents with spring training invites, or veterans on one-year deals, cost efficient, and then hopefully go ahead and get a good half season from them, guys that they could flip later, especially on the pitching side. And then when the guys are like Keegan Aiken and Dean Kramer are deemed ready, you go ahead and move them up, and then guys that you've been plugging in, maybe you can move out.
And in terms of that middle infield, they have said that they want to make an upgrade there in terms of a veteran presence, somebody who's good defensively. We've heard Hechavarria's name. We've heard other names. Do you think they're going to make a move potentially within the next couple weeks, and do you think that they're going to make a major upgrade there?
Yeah, I think they definitely will. And, you know, major, it's kind of hard to upgrade from what VR did, but I think they're still going to look. It's got to be a plus defender at shortstop. And then ideally, obviously, somebody that you could move to second base. They've got to decide what they're going to do with that because Alberto mostly has played shortstop in his career, but he didn't play it at all with the Orioles this year. So I don't know if that means he can't do it anymore or they just didn't have that need because they had Richie Martin and Jonathan Villar. And maybe now you get Hanser Alberto playing short once in a while. Maybe you platoon. You got to figure out what you're going to do at second base. If it's Alberto full-time now, or is he going to platoon with somebody? But I think Hechavarria is a guy I know they have interest in. They've had some interest in the past. They certainly do now, and he makes a lot of sense as that plus defender. Kind of a weird career now. He's become a bit of a journeyman all of a sudden. Jose Iglesias, I'm curious about because I know they passed last offseason, I believe it was. They did their homework on him. They weren't real comfortable with some things they heard. There's kind of a bad reputation tag hanging on him as not a good clubhouse guy, but then he talked to some people that were with him in Cincinnati and are close to him and said that he was actually a terrific guy in Cincinnati. So maybe that reputation's being repaired. Really a plus defender. If the Orioles do their homework again on him, they may hear something different this go around and say, you know what, we can't pass up a glove like that. So that guy also is someone to kind of keep a little bit of an eye on.
Yeah, so a couple moves that could be still yet be made in this winter meetings. A couple more days. We've already seen some moves, and of course, the major signing that is really rocking free agency, and you know that's why they had the press conference downstairs. Of course, was the signing of the Orioles, Marco Stiplon.
Yes, I don't know what Scott Boras had to do with that. It was kind of weird, but I mean, he was around, so
yeah, they had him talk for 20 minutes about it. It was really huge stuff. Rock, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, stay tuned to the blog, MASNsports.com. He will keep you updated throughout these winter meetings from San Diego. Rock, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And you heard Rock just talk about the middle infield options. What are some other names that we could hear the Orioles be interested in? Our own Amy Jennings took a look at that.
Orioles general manager Mike Elias made his offseason checklist very clear. Back-end starters and middle infielders. That became increasingly clear just this week when they dealt both Dylan Bundy and Jonathan Villar. But now they're in a tough position because they're in the market for some talent but don't have a lot of money to spend. So what does that mean? Usually that they're going to get veteran guys at the tail end of their career that can help the Orioles in the short term but aren't looking for big contracts. What does that mean for the Orioles middle infield? A popular name is Adeiny Hechavarria. He hit .241 in 84 games between the Mets and Braves in 2019. Before that, he was with the Yankees as a utility player. Through his 8-year career with 7 different teams, he's no much better for his defense than his hitting, but he's come around and proven himself at the plate. And he could be signed for a non-guaranteed deal this week.
In the game for his defense and cashes one in for his manager. What a play.
Another name, Charlie Culberson, who the Braves non-tendered last week. And you can add in Ryan Goins, who the Orioles actually tried to sign 2 off-seasons ago. There's also Brock Holt and Yolmer Sanchez, but both likely too expensive for Baltimore. The O's, of course, did just sign Dilson Herrera to a minor league contract this week, but look for them to add another middle infielder over the next few days. Reporting in San Diego at the winter meetings for MASN All Access, Amy Jennings.
Continuing our coverage here from the baseball winter meetings, and now we're joined by Joey Mellows. You might know him better, though, as Baseball Brit. He is the man who has been traveling the country for the entire 2019 season, watching all of the baseball games that he possibly can. Joey, thank you so much for joining us here in San Diego.
Oh, it's lovely to see your cheeky little face again.
We had you on at Nationals Park. We had you on at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. You made the full round around the entire country. What was your year like?
I don't even know how to explain it. I had a proper meltdown. So, yeah, 8 months on the road and my life savings taken out and pretty much all gone now. But hell of a time, and yeah, met some lovely people, yourself included, and got to watch a lot of baseball and, see the Nats in the first year they've ever won the World Series. So
yeah.
No regrets, mate. No regrets.
It was a rainy night at Nationals Park. I remember that when you came by. Of course, I'm sure you got to see a lot of minor league games along the way. What was your total count of games this season?
Oh boy, I was trying to get to 162, a full baseball season at MLB level, but I got to 148 because I got robbed in London and my driving license got taken, and it took 2 weeks to get the driving license back, so that's what cost me the 14. There are other things that cost me as well, like my own laziness or whatever, but yeah.
I wouldn't say it's laziness when you're driving around the country.
Yeah, I did 20,000 miles in a car on my own and listened to a lot of the same music tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
how else do you fill that time? Podcasts?
Okay. And then, music and a lot of time on my own with my thoughts, which was dark. But, yeah, the music was fun, so had a good time on the road.
Nice. And now you're working on a book about that experience, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to get this book proposal finished. I'm not sure if I'm much of a writer, but I've got some pretty cool stories to tell about crazy stuff that happened on the road. So trying to get that done before January.
And you have a background in academia and teaching. Have you ever worked on anything this large, a project this big?
No, they want this to be about 90 to 100,000 words.
Okay.
The longest I've written before is 30,000. So, yeah, it's all new to me, and just trying to fudge my way through it and make sure I get it. That was fudge.
That works. That was good for TV.
Trying to get it finished.
Nice. And of course, you were there for the postseason run as well. You were in Houston for the World Series.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I got to meet the Astros as an organization. I know they're a lot, in the news a lot at the moment, but they were terrific to me, and I had no idea about anything.
Right,
so nothing's been proven yet or whatever. So, yeah, they were great, and they got me into the World Series, and that was something I never thought would happen when I started off back in March on my own, that I'd be able to go and see a World Series game. So, yeah, really cool, and so weird that no team won at home.
Yeah,
it was a weird atmosphere. Like every game I went to, people were kind of disappointed. Most people in the stadium, and that's the way it progressed for the whole 7-game series. So, yeah, very memorable year.
It was bizarre, certainly. And, of course, you, in the middle of the summer, had the London series.
Yeah.
How was that?
Super fun. Yeah, it's so wonderful to meet all the European baseball fans. First time MLB has ever been in Europe.
Yeah.
After the NFL and the NBA, even the NHL, I believe. So it was lovely to see people wearing 30 different team jerseys and coming together and getting hideously sunburnt because we're British and it was a warm day, and having a few beers and watching one of the longest games of the season, 4 hours 42 minutes. Yankees, Red Sox, and we're super excited for the Cubs Cardinals in 2020 now, the National League's turn to come over, and we're really hoping that baseball takes off. I was just speaking earlier to our national team coach, Liam Carroll. So, yeah, we're hoping baseball's going in an upwards direction now.
So do you think events like that with the London series really help to grow the game over there?
Yeah. The biggest problem that baseball faces in Europe generally in terms of growth is the fact the games are on when we're asleep. Pretty much every game is starting at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. That's midnight for us. Or if it's West Coast, it's starting at 10. It's starting at 3 in the morning for us.
Jeez.
So I don't know many people that are awake that late. So these games are really important because they're on prime time and they're on the BBC, and they give people access to the sport that perhaps wouldn't have stumbled across baseball in any other way.
Yeah.
So it's really important, and I hope that MLB continues to play games in Europe and maybe moves around the continent so people in other countries can see how much fun the sport is.
That's a great idea, and you, of course, are the best ambassador for all of that.
Yeah, Rob Manfred, listen up. Yeah, let's move it around Europe now, share it round.
Exactly. So aside from the book that you're working on, what else is next for Baseball Brit?
I mean, I've been unemployed for like 10 months, and my life savings have gone down every single day. So I hope I get a job. I don't know what the job's going to be. Like maybe with a UK company that's looking to expand interest in American sports. I really got into college football towards the end of the trip.
Yeah, Tulane is your team, right?
I'm Tulane. I'm roll wave, green wave till I die. We've got a bowl game in January, so yeah,
huge.
I'd love to explore more about college baseball and go back to the College World Series pool. Super fun.
Yeah.
People on Twitter told me that I needed to get there in Omaha, Nebraska, and I kept staying in my hotel each day. Can I stay another day? And I had this crazy journey back to Philadelphia to try and fly out the country because I just kept staying, watching Vanderbilt and watching Texas Tech, and yeah, it's so much fun. If you've never been to a College World Series game, try and get out to Omaha, Nebraska. It's like the best time.
Yeah, absolutely. So college baseball, college football, everything. Basketball
MLB,
is the next.
Basketball. Yeah.
Do you have any interest there?
No,
not really.
MLS I do, but
okay.
Basketball, I don't know anything about it. I don't even know any players, other than LeBron.
Okay,
I mean
that's a start. Yeah, the Lakers, Los Angeles.
Warriors guy, what's his name?
Steph Curry?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Okay, yeah.
Almost called him Murray. Sorry, yeah, Steph Curry. Steph Curry. I've heard of him.
Murray. Yeah,
He's
that's
cool.
a more British pronunciation, I feel like.
Yeah,
Steph Murray. Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of winter meetings here. I'm sure you'll get to see a lot of familiar faces. You have built quite a group of fans and followers over the last year. So
it's nice to see familiar faces and friendly people, and there's a bar in the hotel, so it's going to be a good week.
Yeah, exactly. End of days are the best for winter meetings.
Absolutely.
Exactly. He is Joey Mellows, of course, at Baseball Brit. Be on the lookout for his book, which is coming around soon. And, of course, you can see him at ballparks all across America pretty much all season long. So thanks again.
Cool. Lovely to see you, mate. Thanks for having me.
That's it for MASN All Access on day one of the winter meetings from the Manchester Grand Hyatt in San Diego, California. But we will be back, same place, same time tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Time from San Diego. Another show for day two of the winter meetings. I'm Paul Mancano. Thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you tomorrow.